This is Eye on Hong Kong with Key.
And this is Harminder, and we'll be discussing the top news for the week involving Hong Kong and China.
The spirit of this bridge connects the kid from the south side of Chicago, dreaming of a better life, to those in France standing up for their freedom of expression, to the people in Hong Kong protesting for democracy. This bridge was built on hope, welded with compassion, and elevated by love for all human beings.
And of course, that was the hip-hop artist Common accepting his Oscar for a song that he did with John Legend.
Don't ask me, I didn't
Selma.
watch it.
For Selma.
Selma, yes.
Yes, for Selma. And the bridge he was talking about was the bridge that that was featured in the movie about the civil rights voting issue. And I believe that's where they gathered. I haven't watched the movie and I haven't been familiar with it. But the thing is the Bridge of Hope.
Okay.
And he said that the bridge is not just about this issue. It's also about the poor kid in South Side of Chicago and you know the people in Hong Kong fighting for democracy. Obviously, he was mentioning the umbrella movement.
So then they took 100 years from the American Civil War to get their voting rights, and that's what Laura Cha says that we should have in Hong Kong.
100 years.
100 years, yeah. Laura Cha, board member of HSBC, in case you've forgotten who she was. She was the one who made the asinine comment that people in Hong Kong should be a little bit more patient in their request for proper democracy because blacks in the US had to wait 100 years.
She's on the board of
HSBC.
the Bank of Opium?
The Bank of Opium. She's also the chair of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. And if you write to the HSBC chief executive, he'll tell you which other board position she's on as a way of justifying how great she is for HSBC's board.
I'd like to see her Swiss bank account.
Yeah, so would I. I'd be very curious about that. So Laura Cha, that's the kind of person you've got running the Trade Development Council. So going back to the point you made before, in terms of promoting Hong Kong, do we need idiots like her promoting Hong Kong, or do we need real human beings?
We need people that know how to do it.
Okay. And she... What?
Not board members of a bank. Ooh, suddenly I'm qualified.
And she thinks the way to reach out to the general public is to say that blacks had to wait 100 years and you should too.
So is she saying we're an oppressed minority?
I don't think she knows what she's saying.
By a tyrannical government.
I think she's saying we should be a little bit more patient because actually she works for a bank that's got lots of mainland business interests and she works for a trade government. She's on the executive council of the government as well, and most of those are pro-Beijing, so she knows where her interests.
And a bank that launders drug
and
money
she's probably
to Mexican drug cartels.
waiting for a position on the NPC somewhere along the line, I shouldn't imagine.
Possibly.
Anyway, yeah, write to HSBC. If you're an HSBC customer, write to the chief executive of Hong Kong, HSBC Hong Kong branch, and just say, why is Laura Cha on your board? Why do you have such a cretin on your board?
Do you bank with them?
I did.
I think. Oh, he did. Okay. Good man. Pull your money out of there. All right. So, last week we had another protest against parallel traders, this time in Sha Tin. Before that, it was in Tuen Mun, and we had Richard Scottford here to discuss that, what he saw. And again, Sha Tin, same thing. Went to the mall, ruckus, cops, pepper spray, the usual. Now there's another one tomorrow, Sunday, in Yuen Long, about the same thing. And the government's response has been...
to send 500 police officers to
That's
Yuen Long.
one.
Yeah.
The other response is that they want to tighten the the tourism into Hong Kong, because right now 49 mainland cities have the ability to allow individual travel here. You don't have to go in a tour group. You can come in individually to Hong Kong and enjoy the city. And there were rumblings about expanding that. And now they're talking about, no, let's not expand it. And number two, let's limit the amount of times day trippers from Shenzhen can come into Hong Kong, because they're suspected of coming in and out to parallel trade. That a solution?
No. The solution is for the mainland Chinese customs authority to do their job properly.
And the MTR staff and the bus staff. Exactly. Nobody's doing their job.
Look, if you're a Hong Kong resident and you go to Shenzhen for less than 24 hours, you are not allowed to bring back a bottle of gin. right? If you're out for more than 24
Do I
hours...
really want to buy a gin from there, though? Is it real?
Well, from the duty-free shop on the Hong Kong side of the border.
That's okay. Yeah.
You've got to be away for more than 24 hours, okay?
Yeah.
If they had the same rule, if the mainland customs authorities applied the same rule to mainlanders, that would deal with the problem.
Sure.
If they enforced their own existing customs regulations, that when somebody took a truckload of diapers or milk powder or Yakult bottles or whatever it is across the border, and they had to pay tax on them when they crossed back into mainland, then that would also deal with the problem.
Exactly.
So the problem is for the mainland customs authorities to deal with.
But there's, you know what they say when they get there? It's personal use. Clearly it's not, but they somehow get away with it by saying it's for personal use.
But aren't there any monetary limits on personal use? In most countries, there's a monetary limit on how much you can take across the border.
There is, but I don't know. It's just so lax.
So why don't they apply their own rules?
I didn't know one person could eat 500 Ferrero Rocher chocolates in one sitting.
Like, I think the whole thing about parallel trading, I understand the issues from people who live in the northern districts. I think if I were them, I'd be equally as pissed off.
Oh, absolutely.
I think in terms of pushing up rents and
fundamentally changing their neighborhoods.
Exactly, changing the types of shops that are there, the fact that you can't get basic goods. I would be very irritated. In terms of targeting individual shoppers as they walk around shopping malls, shouting abuse at them and waving colonial flags in their face, I find that very, very distasteful.
Yeah, I have a problem with going at the tourists and yelling in their faces saying, go back to the mainland, shop with mainland goods, la, la, la.
Yes, I find that very distasteful. Particularly, actually, if I were a parent in mainland and I didn't trust the milk formula there, then what would any human being do?
They would go to the extremes to get the
so
right thing. First of all, why are you feeding them this swill anyway? But if you wanted to...
You would take... So they're doing what every human being would do. So a human being who is doing that to protect their family, coming to Hong Kong to buy something that is safe for their kid, who wouldn't do that?
Right.
So why are we criticising people for acting in the best interest of their kids?
And here, statistically, they're saying that 80% of the parallel traders are actually Hong Kong ID card holders. I mean, there you go. The problem right here is that it's not being enforced, the rules. Once the rules are enforced, boom, there'll be automatic drop-offs. But then who's going to complain? The shop owners.
Well, what do you want? Your cake? You want to eat it or don't you want to eat it?
Exactly. That's the thing. They want it all.
So do we want mainland tourism or don't we? Do we want the right kind of mainland tourism or don't we? Do we want Hong Kong to be one mainland basic goods and services shopping mall for mainlanders? No, most people don't want that. Do we want mainland tourism? Yes, of course we do, because the tourism industry here would collapse if we didn't have it. And then how many people would be moaning about it?
Would you agree with putting up specific malls at the border just strictly for shopping?
Fine, but I don't know why they even need to do that on the Hong Kong side of the border. Why don't they just do that in Shenzhen?
Again, then the Hong Kong rules would apply because the goods are from here and the laws would be here.
Yes,
so
that's very
why.
easy to do.
But apparently that's not a solution for some people. They said that no, that shouldn't. That's not why. Just the solution would be just cut off the border.
Why don't they just build something in the middle of the Shenzhen River that's a no man's land between the two?
I think there is. It is the river. Yeah, that river is the no man's land.
That's the no man's land.
If somebody falls into that, who picks them up? Or would they debate that at the?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it your problem or mine?
Oh, I don't know.
The guy's drowning.
And have you been on that side of the river for more than 24 hours?
Exactly.
Look, we're talking about artificial boundaries created by human beings. So artificial boundaries created by human beings can be undone. If it's a question of confidence in goods, then all somebody in mainland China needs to do is just say, this store has been authorized and certified by somebody from Hong Kong. You can go in here, buy Hong Kong goods.
That can be faked and frauded over there.
Okay, well then there's a way of making sure they do it. Look, they did this in Macau. The mainland government ceded land to Macau to build a university, and it's generally speaking under the Macanese government's control.
Sure.
They could do the same in Shenzhen.
It is,
if it's just for shopping, if they still had the same kind of, you can't use Twitter, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Google, you can't do this, you can't do that, but you can buy Hong Kong goods tax-free, then I'm sure most people would go there.
I think some would, but at the same time, they would still say, no, but I want to be in Hong Kong to get that peace of mind that these goods are genuine.
Okay, well then just build something that's right on the Shenzhen River or in the marshland,
that's what I said.
where you don't actually need to go through the faff of crossing a border. You just
but they are building something.
There's something a lot my child are thinking of doing.
Yeah, no, they're actually building something by using empty containers to build the shops.
Okay, fine.
I mean, but it's like, come on. They want glitzy, fancy malls, not something that looks like it's been put together by gypsies.
But they...
Seriously.
I don't know what the Yunlong shopping mall looks like, but...
No,
Okay.
Yunlong is pretty developed now if you haven't been there in a while.
I haven't, no.
Yeah,
Sorry, I've been to Tunmun, but not to Yunlong.
Yeah, so there you go. I don't know if that's a real solution.
The problem has a solution. I mean, blocking the number. I have a problem with the whole issue of people having to apply for a visa to get out of China. For me, that's for somebody who comes from a country where I can leave whenever I want.
You come from a liberal democracy.
Or
You're
I don't have
talking
to
about
ask.
communism.
I don't have to ask for authorization to leave. The whole idea that somebody needs to apply for a visa to leave is anathema to me.
In the States, you do now if you owe taxes.
Okay.
So it might be changing.
So I have sympathy with mainlanders who want to travel. Why shouldn't they be allowed to travel?
No,
But dealing with the parallel trading problem is a specific problem because of the non-enforcement on the mainland Chinese side of the border. They do not enforce their own customs regulations.
And then I got a problem with the tourism industry saying that, oh, you'll kill off our business. We need more tourists. And they're like, look, Europe and the United States and South Korea, they're begging for mainland tourists, and we're shunning them away. I'm thinking, okay, how big is South Korea? How big is the United States? How big is Europe? You're comparing us.
This tiny little cluster of islands.
Exactly. You think we don't have the capacity to handle that much. That's the difference. That's why they can handle it over there. You can import half of China into the United States, and they'd probably be like, oh, okay, I might have seen a Chinese person this week. You know, you're
But
talking
here
about
they change something on a
apples and
McDonald's
oranges.
box and it makes news.
I don't want a Big Mac.
No, neither do I.
I don't know why you eat McDonald's anyways. But now the solution might be to bring in Indian tourists. Do you think that's a solution? Double-digit gains every year, though, on their tourism numbers.
Well,
Why aren't people complaining about that?
I'm from London. It wouldn't even notice if it was in London. If you do
No,
it
it's home.
And if you do this in Hong Kong, then yes, you will notice.
But the thing is that when I talk to locals, like saying, "What do you think about that?" They're like, "I prefer that." I'm like, "Why?" Because they're like, "It won't fundamentally change my neighborhood. They're not here to buy my daily necessities. They're here to be tourists. They're here to enjoy the attractions. They're here to enjoy the food, and they're here to shop the touristy stuff." Right, if that's a word, and and then go back after 14 days, where it's totally the opposite with these types of tourists, where it's just luxury good shops all day long with so-called dispensaries, which are really general stores.
Yep, good point.
So I don't know. People want their cake and eat it too, and it's not an easy solution.
It's not.
But
kind of
tackle.
sniping at individual tourists and walking around telling them to go back to mainland is really unpleasant.
Yeah, I
nasty
don't think
and
that's
vicious, and gives Hong Kong an extremely bad reputation. And in that sense, I do support what the government.
Being a minority for all my life, pretty much, I couldn't imagine being somewhere and being shouted at saying "Go back to where you came from."
No, it's horrible.
You know,
It's
so
just
I
horrible.
feel sympathy on that level.
I do too.
The Democratic Party had their annual dinner last night, and initially some government ministers from the executive government were supposed to show up. Ko Wing-man, the health secretary, Anthony Cheung, former Democratic Party member, was supposed who's the transport and housing secretary right now, to show up, and when it happened, nobody showed up.
So, former Democratic Party member didn't go to the Democratic Party's party. Was this a Chinese New Year party or a annual thing?
fundraiser? I mean, what is the
Why,
signal?
do they not like Emily Lau?
Well, no, I'm just saying. What's the signal being thrown out by the government, the CYLM government, right now? They're saying the Pandemocrats are being unreasonable, but then at the same time, you are not even.
All right, look at it. I'll look at it. I'll play devil's advocate. I'm a government minister. None of the Pandems came to my Chinese New Year cocktail.
Who cares?
So I'll snub you and you snub me. That's the kind of stupid situation we got ourselves into.
So nanny boo boo. I mean, are we at that level now?
Yes.
Making faces at one another.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk to me because you don't talk to me.
But then at the same time,
I'm sorry,
they're
that came out wrong. I'm not going to talk to you because you haven't spoken to me.
But at the same time, they want them to vote on their package. Is this the way to do it? And the Democratic Party were supposedly the swing votes for them too.
I think they've pretty much written off the fact that it's not going to pass now.
But Raymond Tam says he's what did he say?
Well, Raymond Tam says
cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Whereas a couple of weeks ago he was, what's the word? Pessimistic.
Pessimistic.
Or
No chance in hell?
No chance in hell,
Yeah.
no effing way. Now
Yeah,
he's cautious.
exactly.
Mr. Tam, you seem like a decent bloke. I've seen you at a couple of concerts and wanted to shake your hand or throw something at you, but I haven't done so. Can you tell us why you are cautiously optimistic? Who has said what to you, and why do you think that?
Yeah,
Because I can't see that anything's changed at all.
I believe it's Lee Chuk-yeon from the Labour Party who said, no, there's nothing to be optimistic about. He's just trying to, like, put in the paranoia that somebody might be jumping ship.
Is he spinning?
It could be spinning. I think he's spinning.
Is he spinning so that he kind of builds it up and then it all comes crashing down again, and it's all those horrible, nasty, smelly Pandem's fault?
Those filibustering bastards.
Filibustering bastards.
Exactly.
Who didn't support the technology centre that
That would have gone nowhere. It would have just
was
been.
involved,
It would have
wasn't
just
he?
been contracts to their friends. And anyways, you know, the government's not doing a good job building bridges.
So why, if there is a weak link in the pan-democratic movement, you say it would be the Democratic Party because of what they did in 2010? Or they're kind of Billy No Mates in the pan-democratic camp, aren't they? The
Persona non grata kind of thing? No,
because they feel that they were let down. Everybody feels they were let down by the Pandems by the Democratic Party going behind their back in 2010.
yeah, I mean, but still, they work with them. The Pandems work with them when they
So who
have
are the
to
other
accept the so-called radicals.
So are there any other weak links? So you got Democratic, Radical.
Oh, it's the functional constituencies, really. It's Charles Mock of the IT.
He seems to be quite solid.
Yeah, the medical sector.
The accounting guy, what's his name?
Yeah, Kenneth Leung.
Yeah, Kenneth Leung, he's
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Yeah, so I don't know where they're getting these 4 votes from.
I don't know.
I don't expect, Albert Chan to get on the desk and say, "Hi, I screwed you all. I'm voting for the package." I don't think so.
Nope.
So I don't know where that's going. Okay. The government has introduced more cooling measures for the housing market. Cooling measures, my foot. The fundamental problem with our housing market is the ultra low interest rate environment that we're in. It is that simple.
But that's a global problem. Given that we have an ultra low interest rate environment, I think you have to predicate that. Okay, because I don't think you can do anything about that. Even if you
Depeg.
Even then, I don't think you could do anything about it. Because
Yes, you can. You can set your own interest rates. Kick out
you could
speculators.
set your own interest rates, and it would cause the Hong Kong dollar to soar.
But at least we get something in our savings accounts again for once.
So the economy would collapse.
No, I don't think it would collapse. I think it would go through a rough ride, but I think it'll be fine.
You'd have look at what happened to
It's
Switzerland.
going to collapse. Okay, well, they're not exactly
depegged.
dying, are they?
They depegged. Their currency appreciated by 40%.
Why? Because they're actually giving out interest.
And now they've got a massive recession on their hands. It's
Temporary.
I think it's a radical move. I don't support what you're saying. I think you have to predicate low interest rate environment as a global issue.
And then we have a massive surplus where we can cushion it as well.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is it there for then? If it's not for those types of situations.
It's for the structural deficit.
Oh God.
In 10 years' time.
Which will come, but the thing is that you have to think of it. What's better for society in the long term? This fascist economy that we're in, really?
I think if I were the chairman of the Monetary Authority and I was seeing that house prices are beyond any kind of reasonable standard in terms of ratio to incomes, and I could see a disaster waiting to happen, and I could do something to make that disaster less potentially disastrous, then I would do it. And that's what he's done. He's just said,
He's
look,
kicking the can down the road.
I think he's stopping the crash being even worse than it's going to be.
No, I don't think so.
I think that there will be a property
There's
crash.
so many speculators now. They just keep getting in. This isn't going to do anything with the people who are getting cheap money to put into the property to get something of a return.
Well, when interest rates start to move upwards a little bit, I think property prices in Hong Kong will crash.
The worldwide will crash.
Well, certainly in Hong Kong they will.
They will increase here when they increase in the States. That means worldwide.
I suspect they'll drop by at least a third, if not a half. And I just think he's trying to take the froth off the top a little bit. I think he did the right thing.
But if I'm a middle class person, okay, I earn $60,000 a month, okay, combined income, all right. I've been saving of my down payment for my property that just went from 30% now to 40%. that is going to burden me some more now to try to save that much money.
But if it's going to stop you overreaching yourself and you're going to be in the real doo-doos in 2 years' time when it collapses and interest rates go up, then
but it's not supposed to collapse, right? It's not going to collapse according to their estimates.
I think they know that it will collapse.
Of course they know. That's why they won't depeg.
They're trying to stop it happening. Look, I think it's a sensible thing for the government to do. Human beings act irrationally. The number of people you speak to here saying, "Oh, house prices going up, got to buy now." Oh, it's a great investment. Prices go up and up. They only go one way. The human mindset is that house prices go one way and that's up.
Yeah.
Which is an astonishing point of view to have in Hong Kong, given that they've been like this for the last 25 years. People have very short memories. People think and expect what they want.
Right.
And they want house prices to increase indefinitely. And they have reached absurd
levels. Well, they're not getting anything
levels
from the bank, so they got to put it somewhere.
And prices have reached absurd levels. Even intelligent, rational people talk complete and utter bollocks when it comes to house prices because they want prices to go up indefinitely. They have reached absurd levels. So there is only one way that it can go in the future, and that has to be downwards. And the guy, I've forgotten his name. The head of the Monetary Authority has said, look, Norman Chan, we recognise this. We need to do something about this now. We need to give a little dose, a little injection of rationality into people's personal financial decision making.
I think
that's a good thing.
Talking about dose, they're giving them like liquid, monetary heroin for the market to continue the way it is.
I think they're already on monetary heroin.
And now it's more. You're giving a junkie even more.
They've just reduced the dose.
I think they increased the dose because the prices aren't going to stop. It still prices out people who really want a place to live.
Okay, well, then good luck to anybody who buys.
I really think that the peg needs to end for us to have our own.
If the peg ended, interest rates would go through the roof. Nobody could afford their mortgage.
Singapore has its own rates,
and there will be a massive price crash.
Singapore has its own rates. They're not dying. They float their currency against a basket of currencies.
Well,
there you go. I mean, it needs to happen.
You depeg now. Interest rates go through the sky. The Hong Kong dollar appreciates massively. People can't afford their mortgages. There's a massive property price crash. We have a recession.
Okay.
Do we really want that?
Like John Jung said, we'll agree to disagree. Then we have just a quick note. The employer...
We should ask Laura Chaw what she thinks. Laura, if you're watching...
Please leave a message at the bottom of this video clip. Just quickly, Erwiana, the domestic helper that was abused by her employer, her employer got 6 years. Fair or unfair?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, because max would have been 7. So I think it's close to max.
Even without there being any maximum limit, do you think it's fair? I think that's a fair imprisonment for what she did, yes.
I think 7 I would have been happy. 6 I'm fine.
I think a lot of people are saying it should have been a lot more.
Life in prison for some people. I mean, yes, it's pretty horrible what she did.
She tortured her. She treated her like a slave. She was a complete contemptible cow. But she didn't kill her.
No, she didn't kill her, but...
And she didn't maim her.
Permanently? No, I believe... Psychologically, definitely.
Yes, she treated her a lot worse than she treated an animal. 6 years. Yes, that's about right.
Okay, all right. I think that's fine. Okay, and we come to the end of the show, and we have to give out our Shame on You award. And who do you nominate, Lee? Since
I'm going to nominate it to Raymond Tan because he should know better.
You think he's spinning?
I think he's spinning, and I think he's being duplicitous and underhand, and is deliberately doing it to create expectations that are not there to save his own skin. And he should know better because he's an intelligent bloke.
I nominate Norman Chan for these ridiculous measures and not deep pegging. So we got a problem here. We don't have key to break the deadlock. I have a solution.
Yes.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors. I win. So, Norman Chan, you have just received the
Shame on you
award. And
Norm,
he tried.
I tried. I did my best, man.
So that's the end of the show. Please go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/IONHK pod. I don't know why you and Key could not remember or write down any of this on the last time you were here. You were actually scrambling, you two, trying to find addresses.
Oh, well, because you have a photographic memory for this kind of stuff.
Twitter.
I've only been on 2 programs. I can't be blamed for that.
Well, Key should know by now.
He should. Key.
You should have received the Shame on You award, Key, for not knowing the addresses. Twitter.com/IONHK pod. And you can still download our audio podcast. You can search on iTunes, Ion Hong Kong podcast, or go to ionhk.podbean, bean like a jelly bean.com. You can download them directly there or subscribe to the RSS feed. And if you want to leave a comment, don't leave it on YouTube expecting a response from us, because this is Mimi HK's YouTube channel that graciously allowed us to use their facilities to produce this program. If you want us to respond, go to our Facebook or Twitter. There we can respond to you. If it's just a general comment, sure, leave it on the YouTube, and please like these videos and share them if you think that English media needs to spread in the city, even though it's dying. And speaking of English media, I hear you're looking forward to Michael Chigani's show next week.
Oh,
okay, so Tuesday
can't
is
wait.
his new show. That's a free plug for you, Chigani. I'll be watching.
Don't blow it.